Whoever came up with the quote, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hear me. Yeah, I want to get that person, slap them up, because what message are you sending out?
Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.
Ready? Do you know go nuts? What does go nuts look like these days? In our grownish age.
No idea. I'll tell you
Staying
later.
up past 10. Don't go crazy
10,
with it.
That's late.
Oh, here we go.
Since my kids are in bed by 8, I'm like, oh, it's that
Have you ever
time?
put your child to sleep and you fell asleep? Wow, and you fell asleep before them?
Oh yeah, that used to happen to me all the time.
Yeah.
And I always used to have these plans, like I was gonna do something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. As soon as she's put to bed, I'm gonna do this, and then boom,
Yeah.
out cold.
God's like, about that.
Oh.
It ain't gonna happen.
So yeah.
So I've got my lovely sister in the building.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. So you're a mother, a wife, a former poet, a former mistaking me for an idiot, but I ain't no idiot. I.e. your first marriage. A strong, powerful woman.
We're going there already. I love it.
Yeah. I thought give all the titles. Because, some people mistaking us for idiots. And you're like, no, boo. But it's part of the journey. It's part of growth.
It's all part of the journey.
And you're a mama bear.
I'm a mama bear of Tina.
Mashallah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, we are gathered here today to just have a nice conversation about growth. And effectively, it's more about life after the divorce. But there's a journey to life. We can't just go straight in for that conversation.
No, 100%.
So, did I introduce your name? Did I say your name?
No. Say my name.
Pull up. Guys, we have Jazmine in the building. Can I have some background noise? Let's start one more time. We got Jazmine in the... Too premature, man. Okay. We have Jazmine in the building. Hey, sis. This is all saying, by the way. Okay, so we start every episode with a quote. Shall I read the one that I'm stuck between two?
I know which two you're stuck between, but go on.
So, don't cut a person who didn't make you bleed.
Yes.
Why is that one of your favourite quotes?
So basically, for me, it's a case of when I heard that, when I read that, I was like, oh my days, because that is what you tend to do when whatever anyone says about whatever struggles they've gone through, relationships, whatever, you tend to then transfer those feelings onto someone who doesn't necessarily deserve it. They might deserve it, but at that moment, say if it's a new relationship, a new friendship, you tend to take your baggage and put it onto that person. Like you transfer a lot of things. So I found that when I got divorced, a lot of that went on to anyone I was meeting. So I was like, hold on, you said this. I would then...
You then connect it to something else.
Yes. And so that saying, don't cut the person that didn't make you bleed, I was like, oh, I'm guilty of doing that.
I think everyone is, and there's a pattern because every single episode I've had, I think it's pretty much been said, where people have said, it's realizing that we're just taking on all these emotional baggages and experiences onto someone else who didn't even deserve it. And it's just, it's not even a conscious thing. Sometimes it's conscious, like, oh no, I see it. And it's just like, you can't see it because you've not experienced that person yet. You've just seen a potential...
It's almost like you're setting someone up for failure before they've even done something. You already expect the worst from someone, which as a society, I think we all just tend to do it. And I am so guilty of that. So when I read that, I thought to myself, hold on, I'm going to take that and I'm going to kind of use it as my mantra moving forward with new relationships, because I wasn't forming better relationships with people because I kept a lot of baggage from my last experience and transferring it. And, that person would be like, well, but I'm not like your ex, or I didn't do that to you. But red signs, red flags.
We start making everything red flags. So the thing is, it's important to recognize red flags, but sometimes we're hypersensitive about these experiences that we just go any opportunity. Like when I started dating, again, after getting to know people after my divorce, any little sign of a red flag, I'm like, peace.
Yeah,
and they might have been a decent person, but you've given me enough for me to go, all right, I'm out. I'm not waiting to see.
There could be someone out there.
Trust me.
Very happy.
Trust me, there are people I'm just like, but they're not my person.
It's not.
But I might have been a bit harsh,
Yeah.
where I've been like, sorry, it's not for me, and it's just I feel bad, but it kind of is
but
what
on
it
the
is.
same side of on the other side of the coin, in a way, that quote, you can take a lot from it, because don't cut the person that didn't make you bleed, but also be aware that someone can make you bleed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're taking it in two barrels of, okay, I'm going to try and not do that, but at the same time identify the red flags, because what got you there in the first place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
but
mean?
the issue is, it's like, because you don't want to be emotionally led, you're constantly risk assessing. But when you risk assess, sometimes you're overly raw. Like I say, like I overly risk assess that I don't allow myself to enjoy the experience of getting to know someone. And I realized that, and I was just like, I'm constantly going, the way I'm not testing. I hate when people test you. They're like, oh yeah, I thought I test out how you shush, man. Like it has to be real experiences. But I never test you, but I pay very close attention to how you know, when they say watch how they treat a waiter, or watch how they speak about their friends or family,
or how they
and
treat their mum.
That's it. Like, you know, how often do they talk to their mum? What is a relationship like? So I mean, it's not to judge them, but there's some deeper rooted stuff.
To be fair, those are all valid points. And like growing up, your parent, well, my mum, she always kind of, you know, told me this. She was like, you know, you should always go for someone that's good to their mum, treats their mum like this. I'm like,
but then some men don't have nice mums. And the last episode, which hasn't been released yet, but I guess it'll be released by this point, I sat with a woman, and she identified a toxic mother, like a narcissistic mum. So sometimes you can't have relationships with your parents because you don't have the privilege of having a good enough parent who knows their role, who has motherly instincts. So it's kind of like also being mindful that sometimes people don't have relationships for a reason.
That's very
and
true.
sort of give people that, you know, oh, well, you have no bond with your parents. Oh no, that's an issue.
You've got to be a little bit understanding.
Like dig deeper, find out why it is they don't have a relationship with their parent.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
Something you touched on when it comes to about not like making someone bleed who hasn't hurt you is also knowing how to receive love when it's given to you. Like I know when I met my husband, like with other people as well leading up to it, when they compliment me, I'm like, ugh, go away. And I generally don't know how to take compliments. But when I started receiving my husband's energy, I started freaking out, because I'm just like, I don't know how to receive it. And I realized the more I reject his energy, because I'm like being very cynical about it, like this is too good to be true.
I was just about to say, it's that feeling of it's too good to be true.
But then that too good to be true means I'm also pushing you away.
100%.
And it's just like, unfortunately, like I understand why in Islam it's like not to date heavily, not to do, why you shouldn't be dating, why you shouldn't be exchanging energy, because the fact is, the more experience, it's not just the sex, the more people you're exchanging energies with, whether it's mentally, emotionally, by the time you find your person, you don't know how to receive that love. You don't know how to accept that love, because
you're emotionally drained as well.
That's it. And
you haven't really got much. You feel as though you haven't got much else to give.
Yeah.
You know, and I very much felt like that. I was like, I'm exhausted. I'm mentally, emotionally drained. I ain't got nothing left. So the tank is empty.
But then we call it, you know, society will say protect your energy, but that's why also in faith, you know, it says protect everything about you, because when it comes to you meeting someone, you can't be naive a little bit. You can't be a bit like, raw, you know, I love this about it. It's like, wait, why are you being like this? Why are you being super kind? Are you gonna cheat? Are you gonna hurt me? Are you like, you know, it's just it's such a shame. And I had to really consciously go, Hebz, don't react the way you instinctively react. And allow him to love you.
That's what it is, though. It's your instincts. And I think instinct is what shapes us in general. This is what motivates us, and this is what, you know, drives us as human beings. It's that initial, in Islam we'll say it's something else. You know, for me personally, I've always followed my gut, and the times where I haven't followed my gut, it didn't work out.
Society, you shouldn't listen to the gut.
But it's true. I've know that I've gone against my gut in so many situations. So now, for the first time in my 37 years younger,
I mean, you're just grownish. We say grownish. Grownish.
Yeah, exactly. I'm grownish. But I'm actually learning for the first time, like, no, you know what? Your gut has never steered you wrong. Yeah. So listen to it. Trust it.
Yeah, and a worst case scenario, you listen to your gut instinct and it hasn't worked out, then maybe you were overly like risk assessing, and that's fine.
I'm an overthinker in every situation.
That's a dangerous place sometimes.
It's detrimental.
So my quote because I always try and find a quote every episode, because
Yeah.
I can't just have one quote every time. Like, yeah, so mine's the same time as last time. So my quote this time is, I was never asking for too much. I was just asking the wrong person. And I recently posted that on Instagram.
I like
And
that one.
I really felt that.
Yeah.
So with my first marriage, I felt like I was really like, I gave you a a guidebook to how to
Yeah.
love me. I didn't go figure. Some women are like, well, if you don't know, then da-da-da-da-da. No, I told you how to love
Yeah.
me. I told you my love language. I told you, like, and I'm willing to understand you, and I'm willing to take time to, like, you know, grow together. But I realized I'm talking to the wrong person. Someone who had no
It's falling on
desire.
deaf ears.
Literally.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but when I used even a fraction of that energy
Yeah.
on my husband, it just kind of went slip, slip, and it
Yeah.
slotted into place.
Yeah.
And it's just such a beautiful feeling. I'm just like, I get it. Because in our heads as women, we're so guilty of, we try and see the potential of a man, that we see so many red flags, but we see like maybe how they treat their mum, or how they treat like whatever, the little essence.
I'm
And
kind of more like I want to save you.
yeah,
kind of
a lot of women
person.
want to fix
I'm
men,
like,
men.
I can be that person.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
fix you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
just show the love.
Yeah, yeah, but that's
I've
it.
always been that kind of person.
Because you know why? Also, because you have so much love in you.
Yes.
You're like, this person, I can see they deserve that love, and one day they can reach that potential.
Yes.
But you can't. We
Yes.
can't do that, because the reality is, especially when it comes to men, and obviously it doesn't apply to all men, but with a lot of men, it's like they need to be ready to just develop within their own character, within their own pace, within their own experiences. And unfortunately, it's very rarely a woman that sits with him and says to him, like, you know, you deserve this, or have you thought about it? And they're going, yes. Note taken. It's like, wait, why are you trying to tell me? Why are you trying to change me?
Yeah.
The biggest word that I want to jab a man in the throat for is, why do you want to change me? It's just like, why are you refusing
I
growth?
know better.
but you just but you deserve better. As a man, you deserve better. Like you being hot-headed, or you being like limited in your ambition or anything, like, if only you knew your true capacity.
Do you know what it is? For me, it was more a case of, I can see your potential.
Yeah.
So if I can see your potential, then why can't you see it? And I'm going to help you see your potential. I'm going to get you whatever I need to do to get you to see your potential. I'm going to do it.
So
I'll take
I
on
did
that
that,
burden.
but that doesn't change much. How did that work? How did it work out for you?
Well, I got divorced in it.
But that's it. Like, I remember I got as far as going, what are your interests?
Yeah.
What is it if you had a choice to go to university, what would you want to study now? And that you're grownish, then he's like, oh, I've always had an interest in this and this. I'm like, well, I'm happy for you to take a step back and go back. Like I did, I wanted to do everything that, just to know that he's fulfilling his life, so he doesn't grow up and regret things. But then I had to accept certain people are happy to be in their position, and they want to complain about life. They want to feel the world's against them, and you know, oh, it's not me, it's just so they want to blame every external person.
I also felt like, for myself, in the beginning of in the beginning, before I got married, I was so enthusiastic. And you know, that's the beginning time, and you're like, oh my god, I met my penguin.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the reference about penguins, they mate for
life.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So that's like my thing. So for me, it was kind of like, right, I've met you, you're my penguin, you're my person, like what you say, you're my person. I'm gonna do everything within my power to help you.
That's the least you can do. That's your person.
Because that's my person. And with me, I'm one of those people where I don't just give 80%, I give 120%.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, and he recognized that. He saw that in me from the jump. And it was kind of like, for him, he was like, wow, I've never had anyone like this that is down for me, that will ride for me, that will...
Is this with your first marriage?
Yeah. So we became we became each other's best friends. But what happens over time, what I've noticed, what happened in my particular situation is that because I was so drained from giving so much, I became an enabler. So because I don't want to do that.
That's fine. You're good.
Yeah. So I became an enabler.
Yeah.
In that relationship, so that every time something went wrong or
you'll be fixing
he
it.
disappointed me, it would be like, oh, here we go again.
So so why do you see yourself as an enabler? Because you allowed it to continue by finding reasons to why he behaved?
No, I justified
reasons. By justifying
the reasons. And then I got so exhausted of justifying, I just let it happen. So that's what I meant by enabling. And then we enabled each other.
So did he fill your cup? You said you were drained. Do you feel like he also tried to serve you?
No, in no shape or form.
Did you initially think that he was serving you?
Initially, see, I have to be honest about it. If I actually think about it now, I can look back and say.
But you're looking back though, when you were in there.
Maybe, yeah, but then I was confused.
Yeah.
It's for me that it was like, oh my God, I found this person, and then okay, I'm just gonna forget about all the fuzziness, all the, I'm just gonna look at the one. I'm gonna focus on the one good thing. So of course everyone's got good points to them. So I would focus heavily on all the good stuff
and go la 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 la.
And then the noise around me, it was just noise. And so for me, but that noise was so detrimental to how the rest of it shaped out.
So just to go back a little bit, in regards to like growing up in the household, from my understanding, your mum and dad were married or are married, and have been for how many years?
44 years.
Shout out to mum and dad for that. So I guess they set a bar to what marriage looked like, or like just the idea of marriage. So did you grow up going, oh, I can't wait to get married? Like, was it one of your thinking points?
It was one of those things where I'm like, oh man, I've got to get married to get out of my house.
oh my! Do you know what we have a very, when we speak about our past, we're very mirror.
You're my doppelganger. I keep saying
that's mad. We're
not related by blood, I don't think.
No, I mean we can probably do a test and find out.
Probably.
You probably are my sister.
Yes, but yes. So for me, it was I'm the youngest of 4, and my mum was previously married and had 2 kids from her first marriage, but she was very young. But then my dad married my mum with 2 stepchildren essentially. So, but mashallah, like he raised them as his own, and then they had my older sister. So there's nearly 4 years between us. And then, so I'm the youngest, I'm the baby. So there's a massive age gap between my eldest siblings and myself. So because I was the baby, it was kind of like they all did stuff and went through their lives and their hardships or whatever, divorces, whatever. And I was like, okay, now I have to be different. I have to be better. I have to be, I have to step outside the box from what everyone else was doing. So I was like, nope, I'm not going to get married young. I'm not going to have kids young. I'm going to go to uni. I'm going to do things differently. And that's kind of, it's always, even till now, to a certain extent, I'm still like that.
I just quickly on that point, my sister, like my younger sister, who's recently been married, but prior to her finding her person, she watched my marriage and other surrounding marriages and said, if it's what marriage is, I don't want to get involved.
Yes.
And it's so sad because sometimes the younger sibling or family members or even friends can get put off by horror stories. Obviously they don't know the ins and outs and what's really going on, but when you start looking at marriage, you're like, hold up, if this is it, and I've seen you really down and out, and I've seen your mental like well-being going down, and
it's scary.
You
even
being
for a
withdrawn.
lot of friends, like,
yeah.
Even my friends that they're not in relationships, they're like, I don't want to be in a relationship
because they've seen how
it's
unfortunately it's there's a constant toxic theme.
It does make me sad though when I listen to friends that are single or don't even want to attempt to go and meet people. Like I'm always pushing like for people to go on Muzz Match or whatever, or whatever it's called now.
Muzz.
But yeah, so I'm an optimist through and through. Like no one's gonna bring me down.
But that's your setup though. Because if you've gone through, like, based on the story you told me, if you've gone through what you've gone through, not many people be optimists. And not many people will get through it. So
even I don't understand how I'm optimistic, but I kind of do because I've got faith.
Yeah.
It's
No, I
my
feel
faith.
you. No, that's important.
But I can't say that all my friends they don't have a faith, for example. So they don't have anything that grounds them back to what's important in life. And when you ask yourself, what do you want from life? That's what I did. I was like, well, what do I want from life? Okay, I've had this experience. It traumatized me, but bring it back to what do I want? I wanted to get married, have a family, and settle down.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what I wanted. So I was like, ain't nobody going to take my happiness from me.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And that's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
So whenever my friends would say to me, how could you even contemplate, even dare go back into that world
to number 2?
Yeah. I was like, do you not know me? I was not meant to be alone.
Same. That's you read and you're like, I'm only made for companionship. I'm not made to be single.
But as human beings, like
that's how it should be.
That's how it should be. People can die of loneliness.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
yeah.
I'll be one of those people.
Well, alhamdulillah, that's not the case.
Alhamdulillah.
You touched on the fact that obviously you served him, and upon reflection, he wasn't serving you. And I think that's one of the things that I went through. Because you and I are very similar. We've both been married before, child before, and now married, and you've had another baby. I'm yet to, and God willing.
I've been making lots of that for you.
Thank you, sis. I need them. But it reached a point, I think, in my marriage towards the end of the first marriage where I started going like, what am I really doing here? How am I really serving myself here? And I really had to, like, do you know, sometimes you can hold on to something and go, well, they're really good at this. Yeah. Like, you know, he's really good with the kids, or he's, you know, he might have a bit of a temper, but the way he serves me in other ways is amazing.
And I was like that,
I couldn't find nothing.
Oh, okay.
I reached a point where I actually said, there's nothing.
You have no more reason to stay.
I have zero reason besides. The only thing is, it's just like I always mention, it's the guilt that you carry in splitting 100%. Up a home.
Well, this is why with your, like, I'm such a fan.
Thank you, girl.
I'm your biggest fan. But for me, like, obviously, you know, I've been following you from back in the day, even from before you had Khalil.
Yeah.
So am I allowed to say his name?
I mean, it's too late. Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, sorry.
King Khalil.
But, you know, I just wanted to check. But yeah, I've been following you since even before then. So it's so strange because I used to just crack up over your little videos in your car on the way to work.
Yeah.
And or when you're at home and you're just like in your hoodie and you're just
stupidness,
talking gibberish. And I was like, this girl is me. That's what. But the only difference is you had the confidence to put it out there. I just was like, no.
I just gave up. I was like, do you know what? I have a face for radio, but right now I can't escape it.
It was brilliant because you're so engaging. So obviously, fast forward. So then when you had Khalil, and then your story just broke me. I was like, this chick is so, like, she's gone through so much. And then I saw your faith come into it. And at the time, I couldn't relate at all.
Yeah.
I could, but I couldn't. And then now, fast forward, I've been through my trauma, my pain. I found God, and it was like, now I get it so much more. So the reason why I was like, when I go back on your older, like I've watched your older stuff, I've seen you evolve. But I saw you evolve from before podcasting.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? I was like the early days.
You're a true rider. You're an OG.
I'm the biggest fan. Ain't no one gonna tell me different.
I appreciate you, sis.
No, but
it's gonna make me blush. Like,
but
I
that's
got
what I'm saying. Like, for me, I would
Yeah.
never do something. Like, I wouldn't do something like this. But because you resonate so much with me, and it's not just because of we share similar experiences. It's the way you engage people with what you're talking about, the topics that you talk about.
I didn't pay her for this, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need some tissue later. It's about to get emotional.
No, it's cool.
But no, it's what you do is like. So I was thinking about something. It was going through my head. Sorry, I'm digressing a little bit. But whoever came up with the quote, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hear me. Yeah, I want to get that person and slap them up, because what message are you sending out? And I was going to do a fact check because I know you do fact checking.
Yeah.
But I was like the power of words are so powerful. So that saying was said, like, that was told to us as children to help us with like school bullies or you know, if someone hurts you, like if someone whatever, don't take their words. But I'm like, nah.
See, the thing is, I can flip it a little bit. Like, I'm listening to what you're saying it, and I'm kind of understanding also a different perspective, which is as a coping mechanism. For as long as I'm still walking, your words can't get to me. Basically, for as long as I'm persevering and I'm staying positive, and like, you can say what you want, but I can keep going. Like, for as long as you're not physically removing my soul.
Yeah, but if you're being honest with yourself, if you're being really honest with yourself, that's all well and good to have that notion, but put it into practice.
But then it's like, with hardship comes ease, right?
Yeah.
So with it's kind of almost the same but different, because it's a case of you're saying, all right, cool, I'm going through hardship, cool, I'm getting beaten left, right and center, cool, I'm getting bullied by this kid in school, cool, but with hardship comes ease, I'm going to continue because hardship comes ease. Sticks and stones might hurt my bones, but words will never. Do you know what I mean? Whatever
it's just the words will never, because you can use that as a positive and a negative. Because words are so impactful.
Yeah. So it's like disregarding of the mental well-being.
And it's like, I can't. it just irritates me when people would say that to me. Maybe it's some kind of childhood thing.
No, if it's something that sort of frustrates you because
like
have you experienced school bullying?
No, I never experienced.
Were you the bullier?
No,
sure?
hell no. I used to stand up to the
Safe
bullies.
space. I don't have that many subscribers. Okay, cool.
I don't have the space. But no, I'm one of those people where I will stand up for what's right. I'm all about, and I teach my daughter this, which I'm really. So her teacher was like, she feels, she's got integrity. Everything that she does, like she likes to stand up for what's right, and I'm like, good. Oh, she gets that from me.
But that's exactly how I was. We are literally the same. Like if I see a bully, like a bullying situation, I can't. I have to. No. And people are like, Hebz, you're not a vigilante. You can't just save everyone. It's none of your business. Just mind your business. And I'm like, I can't watch someone who I can see that their weakness is being abused. Yeah. Like I feel like, but urges there.
But see, I used my words in order to, like, attack the bullies. Yeah. So I would never get attacked because I was too quick.
Yeah, too fast at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and also
your tongue slick.
Yeah, and also I'm a nice person. So at the same time, even though I can use my words, I do it in a way that is not going to completely annihilate someone and their character.
I mean, if need be.
Yeah, unless sometimes some people need it. But
you got the balance of people just know not to mess with you, and they know that
I've got a bit of an aura about me where it's like
they can't mistake you for you.
I'm nice. Don't take my kindness for weakness. Like I'm so nice, but you touch me, and it's all hell will break loose. So I've got that presence without actually needing to say it, if that makes sense. So yeah.
So back to the marriage number one. Yes. Would you say you were young and dumb? Like
no.
Okay.
Because I wasn't young.
That's true. Wait, but how long were you guys together before you got married, though?
Oh, we weren't together that long, 10 months. But I'd known him.
Okay.
I'd known him from when I was 13 because we grew up in the same area.
Yep.
So it was one of those things where it's like I've known you for a long time, but I never spoke to you. Like you're not someone I would speak to.
He was just that guy.
Yeah, he was just that guy. Like he's goofy. And I liked that. He was a little bit naive, goofy, but then he wasn't. It was like he was like a Jekyll and Hyde character. So, and I like complicated characters. I like people that are a little bit spicy, Okay. I can't take vanilla all the time. Sometimes
I feel you. Right. No, vanilla's no.
But everyone that's in my circle, there's got to be some kind of quirkiness to them. Otherwise, I just get bored.
Yeah. No, but it's kind of the similar energy that you have as well.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I'm a bit quirky, but yeah. So I liked the fact that he was a little bit goofy, and so our thing was the banter was I would make fun of him over silly things that he did or whatever, and we just kind of bantered. We bounced off. He would never get offended by it. And I was like, oh my god, I can do this all day long, and he's not going to get offended because he just thought, oh my gosh, she's so smart. So we were like chalk and cheese, even though we grew up in the same area, we had completely different upbringings, lifestyles, experiences. So I suppose I was drawn to him and his story previously, before meeting me. And then I was like, oh, this person, I can see that he wants to change. He wants to do better.
And you wanted to save him.
And I wanted to save him. And because that's the vibe he was giving me. Yeah. And he made everything about me. It was like, I don't care what anyone says or whatever, I'm going to go, I'm all about you. So his focus was all on me at the time. And I was like,
it was an overwhelming feeling.
Overwhelming.
I shall marry you.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where he was like, you know what? Because a lot of like people, like family members have said he wasn't ready to get married. And it was almost like, I didn't push him into it. But his thing was, I wanted to marry you because I knew that if I didn't marry you when I did, someone else would have taken you from me.
Okay.
So that's what he used to say to me.
Okay.
So imagine how that feels to you as
you
feel
like you're good enough to get scooped up by it. Like everyone wants you.
So like he's making me feel type of way.
Special,
yeah, really special.
Was that genuine? Do you feel?
It was genuine.
Good.
Well, yeah, as much as at the time I knew that that's how he felt about me. But again, there were so many red flags. But because of that particular thing, of the way he made me feel like I was the only one in his eyes.
You're literally holding on.
You hold on to that.
Those few words.
So, anything else that came my way, I was like, well, I don't care.
But he wants me. He wants to
Exactly.
scoop me up.
So, and I suppose I was a little bit arrogant about it at the time.
Okay.
Because
Was he that guy?
Because he was the guy that was known as like the player, no one could hold him down, all of that. And then all of a sudden, everyone was coming up to me at the time and being like, what have you done to him?
Okay.
What have you done? So again, it gave me a boost.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
You're
like,
I'm actually
I'm
fixing
the
him.
one.
And that,
So,
yeah. You're the
And-
chosen one.
And yeah, and he would literally put me on that pedestal. Even when we were going through problems or we'd have our little arguments, he would still always put me on that pedestal of, you're the one who's changing me. You're the one who got me.
So what's changed? What changed? So obviously you felt he was sincere. Everything seemed like legit. You guys met at your grownish age. You weren't very, very young.
Yeah.
So why is it that then, like, what is it that you ignored that you couldn't stop ignoring, and what changed from dating to marriage?
So basically, I was kind of manipulated from the start of that relationship. He thought that I was everything he needed and wanted. And so he obviously went along with that because at the time he was like, all right, I've done a little bit of a bird. I've come out. And it's like the old saying, I'm going to be on my Dean. I'm going to settle down.
Yeah.
They all kind of have this mentality when they first come out. So I was kind of like, okay, he's been honest about his past. I'm not going to judge you based on that because everyone deserves to have a second chance. And I'm all about second chances, third chances, fourth chances. So I was like, well, I'm going to draw a line under that. Let me just take you for how you are now, face value, and how you treat me now. But the past wasn't left in the past.
Okay.
And then I slowly, it started to unravel. And then because I was falling for him, everything that's starting to unravel, I was like, well, what do I do now? Because, okay, I'm in love with him.
Did you think things would change once you're married?
Yes. And so everything was like a stepping stone, like a goal. Okay, when we get married,
Small sprints. Yeah.
I'm going to stop this. Or when we have a child, I'm going to stop this. So there was always...
So he also said that to
There was
you.
timelines for everything. And I always used to think of myself as one of those chicks that wouldn't stand for certain things. But...
That's the hard part, because there's a level of shame. You're like, right, I'm that person that I'd preach with. Like, no way would I ever be. No way would this happen to me.
I never say this anymore.
Fool.
I will never
That's
say
it.
I'll never do this or I'll never do that. Because
Anyone can get it.
Yeah,
In anything in life.
has slapped you
Not
in
just
the face with it.
relationships. Everything that you could possibly think that, nah, that would never be me.
Yeah. And
It's just
even
it
for
can
my
be you.
kids, even now with my kids, I will never say, oh, my child won't do this or my child's... No,
That's when it
no.
happens.
Exactly.
When you're saying it with chest.
No,
it's
no.
nice to build like positive affirmation for your child.
Yeah, of course.
But to like openly kind of boast of that energy, not boast, but like be so certain. I remember I said I was never going to be cheated on. No way in hell
I think everyone
would I
would
be.
say that,
No, but never. Like literally the conviction was so real that when I got, I was humbled.
Yeah.
When I got cheated on, I was so humbled.
Yeah.
And I was like, the invincibility cloak that I had on
Yeah.
didn't just rip, it shattered into small pieces.
My thing was always like, look, at the end of the day, I'm a realist. So if you're going to do it, then that's on you, boo. Because if you do it, then you have to realize what you're going to lose.
I don't think so. I genuinely wholeheartedly, I said this before like a few seasons ago, but I genuinely wholeheartedly feel people who cheat and hurt people do not understand and cannot begin to comprehend the extent of damage that they're causing to that person and other people around them, because it's not just that person, it's the shame of family, like especially if your
100%.
mum rates you and now you've disappointed her, and then it's also they don't understand how hard it is to even try and begin to regain that trust. And it's just like, oh yeah, but you know, I've done this for you, why haven't you gotten over it? It's just like, do you understand the intricacy of damage that you have caused a person? Which is why 100%. I feel like no guy and woman understands the repercussion. It's almost like it's unredeemable. And anyone who actually, and maybe it's a very wild statement to say, but I think anyone who takes someone back for cheating, they're genuinely lying to themselves, because I don't think
you'll never be the same again. It's
not with that person.
And also, it's kind of unfair on the other person, because
it's a losing battle.
There's nothing you can do after that. There's
That's
nowhere
it.
to hide. There's nowhere to go.
That's
because
it.
that will always be your go-to.
Even if you've like healed there'll come a point where he'll do something, or she'll do, depending who cheated, where you'll go, but you cheated on me.
And that's the thing.
Or you'll come, you might not say the words, but your feelings, will you start boiling inside.
I'm the kind of person, right, where I like to go to bed at night and not feel any anxiety over what that person's doing. I want to be comfortable. Do you see what I mean? You know, when you can lay your head down,
right. and you're good,
and you can breathe, and you can be like, I know where you are, I know what you're doing, and I know who you're with. And when it got to a point where I couldn't do that no more, I was going insane. So then what would happen is that I would then I'd go really far with it, and then even if he wasn't doing anything,
it's too late.
It's too late.
That's it.
And then he realized he was like, I've done too much to this.
Do you know how many guys who've reached that point as well?
Yeah.
Who they had to let go of what they thought was their person, because they were like, do you know what? There's nothing I can do. I've done everything that they think they need to do. But the reality is,
it's exhausting though. This is the thing. It's exhausting on both
parties.
It's not just the person that it
as much as you cheated, it's like, good for you. Like you deserve it. But there comes a point where
you have to remember, people that cheat, they're still human beings. Okay, and I think this is what us as women we forget.
And men, women cheat.
Women,
too.
Sorry,
I got to stand up for the man before they go, what about the women who cheat?
But I also have to look at it from the perspective of the other side of the person that did it, and it's so weird for me to say it, but everyone has a right, in my eyes, to make up for their mistakes. Whatever it is that you've done, you have a right to make up for it. But if the other person cannot accept it, then you're going to be losing that battle for the rest of your life with that particular person.
But then they can also, for example, like I may forgive a person for cheating or doing me dirty, whether it's a friendship or a marriage or a relationship, whatever it is, family members, but I can accept that I cannot have you in my life. I can accept that I might not harbor any feelings towards you, and I will deal with that myself. But I'll be lying to myself if I say to you that I can go to bed next to you at night, or I can rekindle a friendship, and know that in the back of my mind I'm not going, I can't believe you hurt me. And that's that will come. It's a fading thought, in and out, and it's just,
right. What that bit right there is, I can't believe you hurt me. And that is the fundamental thing, because you can take a lot of other things in a relationship. You can take on quite a lot. But it's that you hurt me.
And like you, from all people, the person that I put on a pedestal, the person that
do you know what I'm saying?
Like,
so that's what it was for me, and he realized that. He knew straight away, like, this woman that I was the love of his life. There was no two ways about it. And even till now, he knows I was the love of his life. So
he knows.
No, he knows it. But he made decisions based on whatever it is he wanted to do. But he knew that I was never gonna, even if I tried to stay, I was never gonna stay for the long haul.
How hard was it for you to leave, and what was the final straw for you to go?
I would say it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, ever. And I've had a lot, quite like everyone's got hard things, but leaving that particular, that my marriage, my relationship, everything, I had a daughter with him. It was everything to me. My whole life became him. And that situation. So
that's interesting, because I feel like, when you're in a relationship that's not serving you, your identity almost goes, and you're too busy trying to fix someone. Captain Save-A-Ho.
I love that saying.
That unfortunately, that's your title. You're no longer, Jazmine. You're no longer the person who loves to do poetry, which we can touch in. And touch on. But you just become so focused on helping this person.
Like the person I was when I got with him to the person I was when I left him. Oh my days.
Did your friends pick up on it?
Oh yeah, 100%, because they know me. I have the same friends since I was like a kid. So, but they also know that I'm not the type of person to leave a situation unless I'm ready.
So how did everyone receive it? And so firstly, what was the final straw where you're going to go, that's it? Like, what was the final, I'm done?
So it's a bit complicated, but I'm going to try and break it down in a way that it makes sense.
Okay.
Because I also have to protect, like, to a certain degree, I have to protect him,
of course,
for my daughter.
He's the
so we both made mistakes, but obviously the final straw for me, unfortunately, when I found out, I mean, things were going badly for a while, on and off. But what would happen is he would be good for like, say, a month, 2 months. And that would make me go, okay, let's fight for it.
There's
again.
hope. There's hope.
So, and this is what he used to do with me. He used to bring me up, bring me down, bring me up, bring me down. So say you have a month or two, everything's going good, everything's fine. So he's on good behavior.
Yeah.
And then you'd have a week of just craziness.
Mad.
And then it would be like, all right, another month of great. So I kept feeling like it was, you know, when you're like scolding someone at school. So you're on good behavior, then you do something bad, you're in detention. So it was this constant back and forth. So, but then it got to a point where it just got, he was just arguing with me for nothing, just so that he could have an excuse
to just walk away,
to just walk out and not come home, and you know, stuff like that. And I was like, no, this is getting silly now. But we went on holiday, and he was like, well, I'm going to stay on. You go back home with our daughter. And I was like, what? Like, it just blindsided me. And oh my God, like I was not prepared for what was going to happen. And then anyway, it came out. He did what he did. He actually admitted to it because I was just like, something's not right. And then I think he had enough. And he was like, okay, I've done this. And I was like, my whole world just collapsed. But it all happened on the same day that I found out my dad had cancer. So I was like,
there's a lot to take in.
I was like, oh. And I'm one of these people, I'm a fixer. So I deal with the problem at hand. And I'm like, okay, let me fix this. And then on to the next, and then on to the next. So I kind of think of my brain as a filing cabinet.
Task management.
Yes. So I used to be an events manager. So.
You know, comes in handy.
But yeah, so I was like, okay, I can't deal with you right now because what's going on with my dad is so much bigger than you and what you've done. I'm going to deal with this first and then deal with you later. So he used that as an opportunity to play on my emotions of family and, oh, I love you. And I'll help you with what you're going through. Didn't actually help me with what I was going through. I did it all on my own. Plus I had my daughter who was first day of nursery, all on the same day. So I was like, the timing was just.
But you know what? It's to show your strength because you were like given so many cards in one time, like, which then kind of almost, well, do you know when you hit like a low, the only way is up. So it's almost like that rock bottom came to you real quick for you to kind of go, all right, cool, I need to get myself out of this for so many reasons. My dad needs me, my sister, my daughter needs me.
What was it? Fight or flight?
Fight or flight mode. Yeah.
So I went into that and I was fighting because I'm a fighter by nature. That's it. That's just who I am. I will never, no matter what happens, I'll be like, I'm going to fight through this. But I've never had something so enormous happen to me in such a short space of time. So I actually did I saw a counsellor for a year.
That's good.
And it was all, the timing of it was all happen, and I got it through the Grenfell scheme. So I lived just below it, where Grenfell was. So I got help out of it, and I was, and at first they were like, we can't fund this, and I'm like, I'm going crazy. I need to speak to someone. I need, please help me. And so they were like, all right, we're going to get you a counsellor.
That's amazing.
And it all happened, subhanAllah, it all happened at exactly the same time. So I started seeing this counsellor. I was like, I'm not telling her anything.
Yeah, that's what we do, innit?
I'm not telling her anything because she's going to tell me to leave it.
So like, do what she sends.
Because I wasn't strong enough at the time. I wasn't strong enough to leave that situation because I was like, if I tell my parents what's happened,
that's it. Like,
my dad's sick. I have to help my dad through this. So anyway, that happened. And then he somehow convinced me, after my dad had his operation, alhamdulillah, everything was fine. And it was all in the space of 3 months of when I found out to when my dad had his operation. So it was very, very quick because I was moving really quick with everything. And basically it was New Year's and I used to be an events manager. So I planned a New Year's Eve party. And unfortunately, there was an accident. He got hit in the head, my ex. And yeah, it was severe. It was really severe. And he was in hospital for months. He was in a coma as well. So I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Now my dad's okay, but now I have to deal with this trauma. I have to nurse him back to health.
But you, at the same time, you wanted to leave him.
But at the same time, I'm like, but I know. And then I started finding out more and more things that it couldn't have prepared me. Like no one on this earth should ever have seen what I had seen, what I had witnessed with my own eyes. No wife should ever have gone through that.
It's a lot, yeah.
So but then I couldn't do anything about it because he was essentially
in the hospital, like in and
yeah,
out.
And his brain was, so he suffered several bleeds on the brain. It was awful. And so I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to nurse him through this. And maybe this is what had to happen in order.
That's what we do. We justify.
So
justify
I'm like,
everything.
God. And at the time, I wasn't on my deen at all.
Yeah, but you're just trying to find reasons to stay.
And I was like,
it's the father of your daughter.
I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a sign. And it was a sign that I had to stay and go through that and nurse him in order to get me to the next stage, the next phase, which is, I need to leave this man, or I'm going to die from emotional trauma and mental trauma. Like so my counselor said that I had post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was like, what? She was like,
how?
No.
What is this?
She was like, look at what you've gone through in such a short space of time. What you've done is you've held it in, and now it's a snowball effect. And it's just snowballing now. Yeah. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I could feel myself going, like every little thing. And as he was getting better and growing in confidence, like, so when he was sick, he was
very
lovely,
vulnerable,
loving, and so remorseful. And I was like, oh, you know,
he's
nice.
Changing.
He's changing. And actually, he started to become more religious.
Nice.
So actually, he
had a humbling moment from that moment.
Yes, he did. And I was like, okay, this is a bit new. This is strange. But I was like, okay, whatever works, if it's going to help him. At the time, all I could focus on was, if this is going to get him to be better, I don't care what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do yoga.
If it gives the results, then you want the results.
I'm a results person.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, okay, cool. Then he became epileptic.
Okay.
I've never dealt with that before. He's never dealt with that before. I had no support from anyone, really. It was just me. So I was like, I became his like living nurse. But at the same time, I'm dealing with all this resentment.
Yeah. It's harboring feelings still.
And
there.
I have to look after my child. You know, my child at the time, she was 3 years old. I'm like, what do I do? And then there was no time for me at all. Like there was nothing, no space left for anything else. But then more things, as he was getting better and recovering,
more things are coming out.
He was going back to his old ways.
And
I was like, what?
I want to get to your life after divorce. Yes. So I need to know.
So let me fast forward this quickly.
Yeah. Anyway, I really want to get this in.
He got better, started going back to his old ways, and then I realized, do you know what? I can't do this no more. So I had such a moment where I turned to God, because I was having panic attacks and like really bad panic attacks. I was like, what's going to help me get out of this? So then I was like, let me just pray. Yeah. And then instantly stopped. The panic attacks stopped. And I was like, so then I became so focused on that. And then my poetry started. Yeah. And that was it. I was like, so it's leading me.
Was your poetry like a form of escapism, or was it like expression? Or was it like that everything. You used it for?
It was everything and more. Like I couldn't stop writing. From the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. I couldn't even sleep because I was just thinking words were
You're
going
just offloading.
Around. Yeah, because I couldn't tell anyone at the time of my family or friend. Like I couldn't tell them what I was going through or what I had experienced. So apart from my counselor. So I was like, how am I going to get this out? These feelings. And every time something would happen, I'd feel something, but I couldn't tell anyone.
So that was your
release. I wrote. And it's funny because I can't really write anymore. Because
do you know happy. Why? You're happy. That's
what it is. But I'm like, but I wrote the best stuff.
Do you know what? It's a bit like you want to listen to Adele just so you can feel heartache again. It's just like, I want to feel Adele's bars.
But that's what it is. That's what it is. And then
it's good, alhamdulillah. It means you're very content in life.
Like my faith really, like I know you've touched on it a few times on your podcast with other people, but you know when they say like, you know, your faith can really carry you through. Yeah. And for me, it really did. Even till now, like I can't do anything without consulting with my maker. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? And that's what it is. I consulted with my maker. Yeah. I asked him, tell me what to do, guide me, help me.
It makes things easier when you start waiting on God to sort of, or turning to God. Because as humans, we're flawed, we're opinionated, but we have our own life experience. It doesn't mean that we're qualified enough to start telling people about their lives.
Exactly. So then what I did was, I was like, right, I'm going to do this. And I held a lot of guilt because I'm like, he needs me, and I'm leaving him at a time. Well, I should have left him 9 months prior.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I chose to stay. So in his eyes, it was like, but you stayed.
Yeah, but you stayed because you felt like you had to. There was guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was, but then I thought,
duties and responsibilities.
Exactly.
A wife.
But I was like, it's either me or you, and I choose me.
Good.
And that's what I choose, me, and I choose our daughter.
Yeah.
And the moment I realized that it's not, I don't choose you anymore. You're not on the forefront of my mind anymore.
No.
When I wake up, it just wasn't. The moment I started to feel like that, I knew.
So you felt empowered to leave?
Yes, and it was the best feeling. And it's like a rubber band.
Yeah.
You can stretch it as much as you can, but then once it's gone, it's gone. And that's what happened to me. I snapped, and I was like, I
remember you mentioned that your mum refers to you as a rubber band.
Well, she told him that.
Yeah.
She was like, my daughter's like a rubber band. I know her, even though she didn't know what was going on.
She had a feeling.
Because she knows me.
Yeah.
So and I was like, oh, that's a great analogy.
So how was healing for you?
I'm still healing.
Yeah.
And I think I'll be healing for the rest of my life. But healing, I think it depends on how you measure healing.
Yeah.
You can heal in so many different ways. But
how long did it need you? How long did you need to like really heal before you were able to like accept someone else?
Oh, see, that wasn't my problem. I'm a walking, talking contradiction, by the way. I kind of saw it as, you know what? I'm not looking at love in the same way. I look at love as respect.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love is a very fluctuating feeling. You can't people go, all you need is love. No, sis, you don't need love.
Don't.
Love. There'll be days where you look at your spouse and you're like, I want to jab you in the throat, and there'll be times, and you need to have that common understanding, whether it's faith, respect, loyalty. Yeah. These things are what carry you through when love is kind of faded or
I just changed my
challenging.
mindset of
okay,
well, I thought love was this, and that didn't work out for
me.
It's
a Disney love, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what it is. Everyone was like, oh, I want love.
You want to listen to R&B songs and be like that's us.
Like we used to have a little song, our song, and every time it would come on, we'd have our little dance that we do or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want that no more. Because that love is dangerous.
Yeah. That love hurts.
That love is very dangerous. And in Islam, I think I told you about this. There's 9 levels of love.
Yeah.
And 8 or 9 is reserved for Allah. Number 4 is like for your mum and dad. Number 4. Yeah. So if you get to anything past that, you actually go insane. It's dangerous.
It's a deluded kind of love.
Yes, people like commit suicide over love.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I looked at it as not like a business transaction, but I kind of thought,
how are you going to serve me? How am I going to serve you?
Yeah, I was like, if you don't pray, go away. Like I was like, I had a set. I was set.
I love the slogan. If you don't pray, gotta go.
Yeah, I studied advertising, so
nice,
slogans for everything.
I think we should make a t-shirt.
That's what I was. I was like, no. Like this is the person. In my mind, I was like, this is the person I want. But oh my days, I didn't know it was gonna. Like, again, Allah is the best of planners.
100%.
So I was constantly, I knew what in my heart what I wanted, but I was in my head, I was like, no, I want this. So my heart and my head, I was like,
we're battling.
Yeah, we're battling. And then when I let go of all my expectations of what I thought the next relationship was going to be, it hit me in the face.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. So similar to you.
Yeah. I accepted my role as a mother. Like I did my whole putting myself out there, and I was like, there's just,
but I can't find my person. I had to get good. Like I had to be good for my daughter because I was in a really bad state.
That's it.
When I left that relationship, it was like I didn't just leave the relationship, I left everything that came along with it, financially, just everything.
So you had to rebuild yourself mentally and physically and financially.
Exactly.
How was it getting through that and also being a mother?
Well, COVID hit around the same time, so I was not even a year in. I was like 6 months out of the marriage, and I got myself a place, alhamdulillah, but I didn't want to be alone, so I was with my parents, and I couldn't mentally look after my daughter. Like I just couldn't be there for her, and I was like, I didn't want her to keep seeing me like
you didn't want her to see your energy, and it wasn't,
because kids can pick up on
very
energy,
so.
like, oh my God, it's crazy. And she remembered a lot of things, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this? I couldn't even get up in the morning, like it was so bad. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go to this counsellor. I'm going to put myself on some antidepressants. I told myself I'm going to do this. I need to normalize the imbalance in my brain, first of all, because
a lot of people fear taking antidepressants.
Yeah, I was like that. I was on and off of it, but I was like, no, I'm going to make a commitment to stay on this and like sort out the chemical imbalance in my brain.
Yeah.
Once I did that, everything started to get better. And when I mean everything started to get better, I was getting stronger.
And you were able to be there for your daughter.
Yes. And she was my priority. And obviously, because it was so messy between me and my ex, I still had to deal with the messiness of that.
Yeah.
So on top of,
you can't just cut someone off.
You can't.
They're just there, especially
like
if they
you
have
said
a child together.
in your last one about, like...
The arguments. And in 2060, it's just like bedroom.
This
like,
is why I love emojis.
Go.
I'm not going to lie. I love an emoji because, whenever you're feeling something and you want to say something and you don't, you can just put an emoji of a thumbs up and you're like, that's all.
Safe.
That's it. That's all I need to say. I don't even need to use words.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I was dealing with that. And also I was dealing off the fallback from my parents because they were like, what's going on? Like my child's going crazy. She never used to be like this. So
yeah, when your character changes, the first thing is the family. They pick up on it. Your friends pick up on it. They're like, you're different. Like this isn't the person that we know you to be. Especially when you're so strong. And
I've always been the protector of my family.
Yeah.
My mum and dad are like, I'm the protector. So obviously we touched a little bit upon this with my older sister and stuff. We'll get into that, I think.
If you got time. Aladdin, how much time you got? What's that? There's a lot of flashing, mate. All right.
So yeah,
go on. So Karen.
But yeah, so basically, when I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna let this stop me from going where I want to go. Meeting someone else, getting married, having the family, the kids again. I went on the dating apps, and at first I was like, oh gosh,
I should get commission every time I say their name.
Honestly. Then when I like fast forward, had to kiss a lot of frogs, but not kiss them.
Ones,
but had to kiss a lot of frogs to meet my prince. That really resonated with me because I was like, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. I guess
but it came out of nowhere, and I was just when I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should give this a bit of a break, focus on me.
They say when you stop searching, that's when it happens, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna fake stop searching.
Yeah,
why is it not happening?
Basically, that's what
you
happened.
Haven't accepted it.
That's what it was.
But then when you really stop, that's when God goes, all right, cool, you're ready.
And I think by that point, I was I was over the niceties, like the meet and greet. Oh yeah.
The small talk sometimes it's just enough.
It's
like, cool, ASL.
So I was very clean cut. I was like, this is what I want. If you don't want it,
that's it. You have got to be direct. But it's true though. Literally, I've uploaded a thing on Instagram where I was on another podcast. Shout out to Off Top, and I said I was very much unapologetically speaking about what my requirements are. Yeah. And the thing is, when you were younger, your requirements were different. As you evolve, your requirements constantly change because you start learning who you are. And learning yourself is a very beautiful journey. But sometimes you're like, I look back at my ex and I cannot recognize one thing to why I would have stayed with him. Yeah. I'm so far removed from the person I was when I was with him. Yeah. That when I look 100%. At him now, I'm like, I can't believe I looked at you and I was like, oh my God, you're my world. Like,
you find yourself
we're so different.
Yeah.
We're so different.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just amazing. Like, I'm proud of my growth because I don't recognize myself.
I'm proud of your growth.
Oh my God, I'm proud of your growth. Oh my God. Aladdin, I'm proud of your growth too. I feel like he's in a room and I can't ignore him.
I don't know your growth.
It's there. But what was I going to say to you? So obviously you met your husband, Onmers. We've had different journeys. Obviously your sister married a revert, but it didn't look the same as you marrying a revert, right?
Yeah, well, I'd say he was a convert. I know revert, we use it, but he converted for her. Yeah, okay. Whereas mine was a revert.
Someone who actually found God.
That was not for another person.
Yeah.
So that's like how I kind of separate.
That's how you separate it. No, I feel you. And I think a lot of people convert for the sake of acceptance of family.
Yeah, it happens. And you know what? Allahu Alam, if that's the way,
whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, if Allah guided them through that person, then I'm all for it. Yeah. But I was very anti that situation.
Like, I'm not into reverts anymore.
Yeah, no. I don't want to know if you weren't born a Muslim, it's like then I have to like, it's the cultural.
Whereas I had the opposite feeling, where to me I felt like a lot of born Muslims take any born Christian, Muslim, whatever, you take your faith for granted.
Oh,
you're just
I
like
did.
it's like
100%.
I'm Muslim, but then it's just like, but what are we really doing? Like, are we actually consciously practicing?
We're gonna get better together.
Them ones. But then it's like, it's true. So hence why we need a companion life, because you bring each other up, but you got to be wanting to. You can't just be like, well, obviously I'm Muslim by default because I'm born Muslim. As adults, we've got to learn about faith, and you've got to start practicing faith. So for me, when I saw a revert, I loved the beauty of them being like a brand new child of
like
knowledge.
Chosen.
They've been chosen. Yeah, exactly. It's just
so
like,
I'm like, ooh.
exactly. So for me, I had a different experience when it comes to that. Even though I feel like, I had experiences of like, okay, there's people who actually convert for the sake of family, but they have no, if the woman has no desire to grow in Islam, and she marries someone who just reverts for the sake of Islam, for just for the family, and show face, then they're both content. But then at some point he might get deeper into faith and she's not ready, or vice versa. And it's just like, well, then you realize, but
they both won't move together, they won't grow together,
but then they might not feel any way about it because they have no desire for it, and that's their own personal life, and there's no judgment there. But for me, I always were like, revert, but then a revert would look at me and be like, you're not what I want, man. Like, you're a beautiful woman, your soul's good, but you're not covering.
So I had, so that's similar. So my husband, he was like, the first thing he said to me was, sister, like, are you planning on covering it? And I was like,
that was my first lock off. If you asked me that first, I'm like,
I was going to, but then I spoke to him on the phone, and the minute, because I gave him a chance to explain himself, I was like, okay. His reasoning behind it, I was like, hold on a minute. He's not just saying this to be like, oh, you need to put on a scarf.
His ego's not in a way.
It wasn't. It had nothing to do with that. Like, he genuinely, I met someone who cares about my soul, and I think when you meet someone who actually cares about your soul, you're winning.
Yeah, not 100%.
So it doesn't become a thing about, oh, he's trying to control me.
Why are you trying to press me?
I didn't get that from him at all. Like, he doesn't come across that way at all. But he was very similarly to me. Like, he was like, I didn't think I was going to meet anyone who wasn't covered. Yeah. So we both surprised each other.
Yeah. I think also the fact that you both have a journey. Like, I remember you in college. Yeah. And I remember your set of friends. I remember all of it. I know you're the same set of friends, but I know I can see you're similar to me, but I knew we were different as well.
But I told you, I heard you before I saw you.
Yeah, them ones there.
I bet a lot of people say that about you.
Sometimes they're like, Hebz in the building. I'm like, yeah.
But I love that.
But then I felt like also I was conscious that I don't really go out clubbing and do certain things. Yeah,
whereas
you were living. This is your
that was
career.
my lifestyle.
Yeah, literally. So for me, like, I could. You went through your journey. So for you to get to where you got to, all the obstacles plus your relationship plus your motherhood to then find faith. Like, from what you told me, he appreciated that journey, and that's why
that's what it was. He fell in love with my story, and he was like, I could have easily met, I had opportunities to marry.
There's ukhtis already.
Proper. Like, no, that's what he saw it as. But he was like, I was like, yeah, but I've got a kid. I'm like, I've got baggage. But I was like, I hate using the term used goods, but
no, but I get, but that's unfortunately we devalue ourselves. Yeah. Once we're divorced, we're like, okay, I'm not deserving of someone who is no children. Yeah. I'm not deserving of someone who whatever. Because when they start doing the stats, especially the Kevin Samuel crew, they'll be like, so basically, as a woman, if you're over 30 and you're on average on looks wise, and you're earning this much and you have a child, plus, like, let's just get it. Let's like, here's a pool in life, and then this is your pool, and then on top of that, you don't cover in Muslim society. Your pool's here, then you don't want to accept polygamy. So
it gets smaller and smaller.
So then you start thinking, all right, cool.
But
so
I was like, I'm not going to compromise though. I'm not going to sell myself short.
But then also you still talk yourself negatively. Yes. We still look in the mirror. Not literally, but we will talk down. Even though
I
we're
was like, you could have had someone fresh.
Yeah, it's just like, are you sure you want me? But like, my husband's an actor, so I'm like, I don't act. And I'm like, are you sure you want to be with my caliber? I'm not one of them people there. I'm not all arty
farty. You're kind of in the biz.
Kind of. But when I saw him, I was quite intimidated. So I was just like, why me? But then I'm like, because we know our worth. Yeah. I know who I am. You know who you are. Exactly. But the self that kicks in is like, but why
It's me? The self-doubt. Yeah. No, 100%. But he just completely eliminated it. And he completely accepted me for me.
Beautiful.
And the fact that he could listen to me talk. That's like
my husband. He's like, Hebz, you could talk, but I love listening.
He was like,
to you.
He was like, but it's because you talk sense. He's like, I could listen to you all day.
Yeah.
So and he loved my poetry because he was like, it comes from such a raw, deep place.
He appreciates it.
Yeah, he appreciated it so
Yeah.
much. And he's not he's not a man of too many words, but when he says something, you're like,
Impactful.
it's he
That's
doesn't
nice.
just
That's
talk for the sake
beautiful.
of talking.
So do you feel he's helped you like with healing?
Oh, massively. Like I think I gave him a bit of a hard time in the beginning. So again,
Of
the
course,
quote.
because we're just being.
And he just didn't waver. He didn't. He took it.
Do you know why? He probably could see parts of himself in you.
Well, he said to me, he was like, you don't see what I see. Like, and I was like, but what do you see?
Tell me.
What is it?
Yeah.
And so he would constantly remind me of what my worth. And it had to take, I know it's so sad to say, but it had to take a man to show me, but a good man to show me my own worth.
But do you know what it is? Because sometimes we can't listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
And we struggle to, we can hype ourselves up and then we can also tear ourselves down.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, like when they say, oh, you can't love someone until you love yourself. And I feel like I actually don't believe in that, because I feel
don't.
like my lack of self-love would have meant that no one deserves me. And even in my wedding speech, I said I felt like I wasn't deserving of this
I
love.
loved your wedding speech.
Thank you, sis.
Okay.
But I felt like I wasn't deserving of it because of
Yeah.
everything that I've experienced and everything that my mind started slowly shaping me into.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not going to happen to me. So
Yeah.
when I finally had someone who was loving me, I was able to embrace my self-love more. So I genuinely don't believe in, you got to learn to love yourself first until someone can love you. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the same time, you can't come with all this baggage and all this, like,
There
you
has to
can't
be a
hurt
balance,
someone
yeah.
because while they're trying to love you. Like, imagine someone's trying to hug you and you're like emotionally punching
Yeah.
them the whole time. It's hard.
But that's what I was doing. I was emotionally punching him, but
Yeah.
he took it. And I was like, how is this guy
Then you just
taking all
stopped.
of
So you
this?
realize,
And then
what am I doing?
But he's got this thing, like I told you, like he says to me, I got you.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
one of my favorite movies is Avatar. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I see you.
That's nice. That's
So I'm like,
beautiful.
I see you.
So did you actually to
Yeah,
him?
yeah.
Oh, girl.
Yeah, he laughs at me too. But it holds so much truth in it.
Yeah,
Because he does. He's got me.
Yeah.
And he,
It's
the
a safe
day-
space to be
The
in.
day he sat down with my mum and dad, my mum was terrified. Like, I mean, petrified of him because she was like, oh my God, who's this man? She doesn't know him. Like,
It's all overwhelming.
it's
Like,
overwhelming.
She has to
She's
let go
been
of you
so
to someone
hurt.
else.
She has a child. Who is this man?
Very protective over you.
Very super protective. My dad was like, what, she's not free, you know? Like,
How many camels? No, I'm joking.
it literally was like that. I was like, Dad, please don't do this.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
anyway, like he said to my parents, he made them a promise. And
Yeah.
he was like, look, I'm never going to do anything. Like, inshallah, never do anything to hurt your child or your grandchild. All I want to do is protect them and look after
Yeah.
them. That's all I want.
Do you know what? I feel happy for you because I always, I get sad at the fact that my husband never met my dad.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
had
not
to
gonna lie,
introduce
like,
him
yeah.
to him in the grave. Like,
Yeah.
and that was very, very hard. I'm like, he'll never be, obviously they say like he'll know and whatnot.
Yeah.
And inshallah, like we'll meet again. But I actually tell my husband, I'm so upset he never got to
Yeah.
see you because he
Yeah.
would have been so proud. Go ahead, but yeah, you got a right one now. I can let go. Like I'm
I tell
I'm
my
at
dad, I
ease,
think
I'm
you were
at peace.
holding on. I always say to my
Yeah.
dad, I think you were holding on for me.
Yeah, no, and it's such a beautiful feeling to
Yeah.
know that your parents have that peace of mind,
Yeah.
and that my mum's so proud of this man, and you know it's such a
nice
beautiful
feeling.
feeling.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Running out of time.
Yeah.
Quickly, what would you say to someone who's gone through divorce and gone through a very difficult marriage and where it just kind of feels very bleak? Like,
I want to say what goes up must come down, but
I mean, we want to elaborate a little bit.
no. Do you know what? I would say patience.
Mm.
Like, have sabr, because for me, as much as I wanted to run to the next thing, it's also my patience. Have patience in yourself
Mm.
and whatever your maker or creator, or whatever you believe in that motivates you in life. Hold on to that and never let that feeling go. And just know that we're all human and we all make mistakes, and it's fine to make mistakes.
Mm.
As long as you learn from it, you can keep making those mistakes, but it's fine because we're all
Yeah.
human beings, and we need to also remember that we need to forgive each other as well. So I think forgiveness is my biggest thing. Patience and forgiveness.
And forgiving yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a big thing because you carry guilt. You like, even the fact that you separate the parents from each other, like you
Yeah.
and your ex-husband went together, your daughter
Yeah.
now has to deal with it's a lot of guilt, and you're just like, maybe I should get back together because, you know, maybe it'll make things easier. And it's just like, no,
I went through that untold times, but
yeah,
it's also knowing that, you know what, I've made the right choice, and he knows that.
100%.
We both know we made the right choice. Even though I left, he
accepts
thanks
that
me
was the
for
right
it as
choice,
well,
yeah.
because we were drowning. I was drowning and he was drowning.
it's good that he's able to identify it.
Oh yeah,
even if it took a while.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. I think also for as far as advice, I say also don't compromise on your true requirements. I don't mean I want Gucci bag, but as in like what your soul genuinely, like, you're desiring, like what you'll thrive off. Like, don't dim that because you're too scared that you're gonna let go of someone. That someone, if they don't serve that for you, you'll never truly be happy.
You say that quite a lot. If someone doesn't serve you or fill up your
cup,
such a
big thing.
That for me, like,
because your purpose.
It's a purpose right there, and that's why I think that's why I resonate so much with you, because you say things that a lot of us are experiencing, or we feel inside, but we just don't talk about it. So you've created a space for us to actually think about these things and really think, not just think about it and then move on. No, like, I'm going to take your words and I'm going to apply it to what I'm going through at the moment. Because we're always going to go through things. Whether I'm happy now.
Life is life.
Yeah, but life is not supposed to be, this world is not supposed to be happy.
No, it's a
because
test.
then what are you aspiring for after?
Yeah.
If
you
this
can't
was
reach
just
a
happy,
peak and that's it.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm in the mindset of, I'm not supposed to be happy in this life, so there will always be something.
You're always on standby for something.
And
it's not cynicalness. It's
and
just
I'm teaching my
realness.
child that as well. I'm not teaching her rainbows and love and.
That's when you're shattered.
Exactly. I'm going to say to her, listen, I tell her all the time, you're not going to be good at everything, and sometimes you're going to fail at things, but it's fine.
But then the L's turn into W's. That's it.
See, I like that. I'm going to use that on my husband. L's turn.
I do this.
W's.
L's turn into W's. Oh yeah, that's me. But yeah, on a point what you said, I always said my podcast has to serve a purpose. I'm not here to just talk for the sake of talking, even though sometimes people say otherwise.
I love it.
But I genuinely want to serve a purpose, whether you reflect, whether it plants a seed, whether it's a conversation start with your family, your friends, your spouse, your partner. It's just to be able to have conversations and know that we're all going through something and it's okay to not be okay.
And to be authentic as well. And again, I've said this to you, I don't just listen to anyone for the sake of listening to them. It's the fact that you're authentic. And there's so many people out there that are doing what you do and are way more successful or whatever it is down the line, but they've lost that
the essence of who they were.
Because they get hyped up.
I try not to get gassed when I get an X amount of following. I'm like, ooh.
But at the same time, but you should get a little bit. You should be happy about that.
I appreciate
you need to accept that what you're doing is a good thing.
Thank
and
you.
Anything good that comes from that, any success you get from that.
Do you know what? My DMs give me life. My DMs, women and men slide in my DMs and go, Hebz, like what you just sent.
That feeling
I can get essays.
Amazing. I got people writing to me after I'd posted a poem and I had like 30 followers. But they would be like, oh my God, I just read this and it moved me. Or whatever it was. And I was like, that's a little win. I was like, oh, that's lovely.
Honestly, sis, I've had people express about like whether they've gone through domestic violence, whether it's like a marriage they're stuck in.
That's why I say words.
Like premature babies, anything that we've gone through. And it's, to me, that's my superpower. I'd like to hope is my words. And I'd like 100%. To always utilize it.
I love that. My superpower is my words. Doppelganger.
That's it. So we've run out of time, haven't we? Very much so. And Adam's
you enjoyed it there.
Nah, he's watching football, man. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Jazmine, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks.
I appreciate you. You're definitely going to come back again.
I don't know about that.
No, you'll definitely come back again.
Yeah, but I'll take up all of your time.
That's fine. That's the whole point. Okay. That's fine.
I literally monopolized the whole conversation.
That's how it's meant to be. I appreciate it.
He's going, I'm going to have to write this all that monopolize.
But for those who would like to add, if they want to be the 31st follower of your poetry page, what is it?
Oh Lord. Beyond the horizons, my hidden truths.
Just one word.
That's what it's called.
No spaces.
I'm not good at all these things.
That's fine. We'll put it there.
There's a story behind it, and I will tell you about that.
That's fine. So I'm guessing you don't want to give out your Instagram.
I don't care. It's just a page of
poetry,
my poems,
but not your personal one.
No, not my personal one.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You're an incredible person, and I know you didn't want to come on here and talk, and you've done it, and you've done it beautifully. Nah, don't worry. We can hyperventilate and hug each other later. It's fine.
Nah, thank you, sis.
Thank you. Guys, you have been watching and listening to Growing Up British for myself, Mama Hebz. You can catch me on I am Hebz on Instagram with a Z, growingupbritish.h, also on Instagram, and Mama Hebz on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And make sure you subscribe because I kind of need your subscriptions. All right, safe. Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.